The Detroit Tigers finally end their losing streak. It's over. 8 games is where it stopped. They did lose a game yesterday, but they split a traditional doubleheader. We're going to talk about it today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I am, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. Thank you for making Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, and that is including YouTube. Okay. Tigers split a traditional doubleheader yesterday and end the 8-game losing streak, as said in the beginning. What a great day. we're not going to lose out. We got that going for us. Look, a tale of two different games offensively. We'll start with that, and we'll get to both games for sure. But it's amazing to me that in game one, even when this offense even when they scored their run, and even when this offense was like trying to get something going, it wasn't even like effective. And they scored 7 in game two. And that's the most they've scored in over a week. 9 days, 10 days is the last time they scored more than 5. So like we'll take it, and I will gladly take a win. And we have Kerry Carpenter stuff to talk about. It's just, even when this team is good, like it's not even that good. And it's just demoralizing. It's really demoralizing. But we do have a lot of good news in a season that has been not a lot of good news, right? In a season that has had very little good news and very little things go right. Kerry Carpenter hitting his first major league homer will always be cool, and will always be a very cool part of this season, and be a part that brings a smile to my face, bring a smile to your face. It's a very cool moment. First hit over the weekend, first home run. Firsts are always cool at the major league level. It's a lot of hard work. It's so difficult to get to that point. And yeah, it's just a very cool thing. So he goes yard. He had a crazy game too. Let's go in order though. Let's start with game one. To be the offense in game one of this doubleheader. Tigers scored 1 run. They scored it in the first inning, and they got shut out for the remainder of the game. They had 3 total hits. 1 error. That would be by Javi Baez. Javi now has 20 errors. I tweeted this out. 20 errors, 18 walks, and 11 homers. That's an unbelievable stat in my eyes. That is truly remarkable that that's even possible. Like, truly remarkable. More errors than walks, and more walks than homers. When Javi's putting up more walks than homers, and it's not good. It's not good. So that happened again. I mean, like, it was same old. Like, this wasn't a very exciting game. It was 4-1. This wasn't a game where the offense really came out and showed out. Again, they had 3 hits and 2 walks? Yeah, 3 hits and 2 walks. You had 5 base runners. You scored 1 run. That 1 hit was a double. Javi Baez with a double. And Javi also went viral today at the end of this game for kind of Vlad Guerrero senioring his way to a fly out in center field. You remember Vlad Sr. would always swing it like balls that bounced on home plate or were a foot outside, and everybody would be like, hey, anybody else, that would be a big problem. But because it's Vlad Sr., we're just like okay with it because he's the best bad ball hitter of all time. That's what this reminded me of, except it was a fly out instead of like a double or a single or whatever. Really bad pitch to swing at. Obviously, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know with that. But it's just the fact that this has happened twice with Javi in the last like 5 games. Like literally at the end of last week, right? Against Cleveland. Karinchak threw a curveball that bounced before home plate, and Javi swung and missed at it. It's, when it rains, it pours. And he's leading baseball in errors, and he has more errors than walks and homers. Not great, Bob. Not great. Riley Green, Victor Reyes, and Javi Baez would get the 3 hits. Those are the 1, 2, and 3 hitters in this game. So your 4 through 9 hitters total had 1 base runner, Eric Hoster a walk, and 0 hits. It's not going to win you too many ball games. And the proof of that is in game 2, when the bottom of the lineup actually was productive and getting you hits, etc. Right? So that's it for the offense in game 1. I don't. We're going to talk about a better offensive performance in game 2. Let's just get to that. I'm tired of just coming on here and talking about how terrible this offense is every day, and it is. And game 2 doesn't change any of that. You're gonna have to do that for like the rest of the season to make this an okay, not even like a slightly below average offense. Anyway. Drew Hutchinson started this game. I was very impressed. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Probably his best outing. He almost had a shutout. I was really pulling for him. I really, really wanted him to get to hold on and get a shutout there. But regardless, we will take it. This was a game. Any doubleheader, you need innings from your starting pitchers, just because that's how doubleheaders work, right? You're going to eat into your bullpen, but especially with how we've talked about it a million times on the show, but how taxed the bullpen already has been for a majority of the season. So you add that onto it, and looking ahead, just everything, you need your starter to go deep into games. And Drew Hutchinson and Bryan Garcia went 5 1/3, and then Bryan Garcia went 6. That is incredibly helpful and should not be overlooked. Those are important innings that are being eaten. And I forget who tweeted it out. Jason Beck, maybe. I don't want to screw up the credit, but somebody that was not me tweeted out, when you're looking at pitchers who have thrown this year, Drew Hutchinson is only the 3rd Tiger to throw 100 pitches in a game this season for obviously the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal, I think, has 5. Then Erod has 2 or 3. Drew Hutchinson is the 3rd. Only 3 people have. And again, that's just more evidence of we need innings from starters because this bullpen is gassed. So, shout out Drew Hutchinson. Looked really solid. I think most with this one was the pitch mix. Really mixed it up super well. 101 pitches, as I said, 33 four seams, 32 sliders, 21 sinkers, and 15 changeups. That's a great mix. 7 hits and was getting hit decently hard. But the defense played behind him, and a lot of the hits were right at people. And especially, again, when you're talking about that sinker ball that was thrown 21 times to put in play, the sinker ball is a pitch to contact pitch. It is supposed to be put in play. So if you remove the sinker, the other 3 pitches combined only got put in play 9 times. The sinker alone 10. So that's a good ratio for me. That's a good balance. CSW percentage 25%. Nothing to write home about, but not a bad performance either. I was very, very pleased with Drew Hutchinson's start, as I found myself saying a lot. And he has a 4.23 ERA. He's not a world beater. But the thing I say after every Drew Hutchinson start, I feel like, is every time he takes the bump, you're going to have a chance to win. It's just our offense doesn't really live up to their end of that agreement too terribly often. We'll get into the rest of the pitching, and then we'll get into game 2. But first, I got to tell you all about our friends over at Built.com. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. It's delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs. Have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it, plus it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories. They have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. So run to Built.com right now to snag a box for you and the family. It will be the perfect treat. Or you can find a really good hiding place and just hoard them all for yourself. That's what I usually do, to be honest. Like all Built bars and the new cookie dough chunk puff, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. They're healthy and they're tasty. And that's what's great about Built, is that they are made with protein. Your body absorbs efficiently, provides a ton of health benefits, so you can eat something that tastes good and is good for you. So go to Built.com right now. Use promo code LOCKED15. Locked on 15. Sorry. Use promo code Locked on 15 to get 15% off of your order. That's promo code Locked on 15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, everybody. Welcome back here to segment 2 of Locked on Tigers. I'm with your host, Scott Bentley. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Okay, so Will Vest came in to relieve Drew Hutchinson. He went 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K. Drew Hutchinson. Will Vest's ERA is now 3.91. We're getting up into that 4 category. Really, ever since he got optioned down and people were like, oh, like, why? You know, he closed out a game for us once against Baltimore. And in a lot of bullpens, he would still be solid and would still have been on the roster for a majority of the season. He's had a good year. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But his first 2 months have been vastly different from June to now. And it hasn't been a thing of stuff. That slider is still a really effective pitch when it's commanded properly. It's just really has been a lack of command. He's kind of been all over the place. The fastball command mostly has really not been there, I guess is the way to put it, since like mid-June. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. He's going to keep getting innings. I want to keep getting innings. I want to see if he can figure it out and get back to where he was to the season. But something to keep an eye on, because that ERA is continuously going up over the last several weeks. Andrew Chafin then 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 run. It was an absolute bomb. 2 strikeouts as well. So that was 2 runs to Will. Obviously, he did not give up the homer, but he put the runners on base. Andrew Chafin then gave up the big blow that would only have 1 run, I guess, knocked to his ERA. Good play there, Andrew. 2.54 ERA on the season for him. Made 1 mistake. It was a very good pitch. It was a slider that didn't slide, and it hung belt high. It was a little inside, but when you're sitting on that pitch, especially as a lefty, and it just has a bad break and you get the barrel round on it, you can hit that ball a country mile, and that's exactly what happened. So not a good pitch, but besides that 1 pitch, and the first pitch of his outing, he made 2 bad pitches, and besides that, I was pretty, pretty fine with. It's a normal Andrew Chafin outing. He's good. Willie Peralta then comes in, walks another batter, but doesn't cost him anything, and that's it. So 1 inning, 1 walk, no Ks, no hits, no runs. 2.58 ERA on the year for Willie Peralta. So that's the end of game 1. Let's get into the fun game. Let's get into game 2. Tigers win that one by a score of 7-5. This was, if the day was a tale of 2 games, this game was a tale of 2 halves, because the first 4 innings for the Tigers was not good. They were down 3-1 going into the 5th. Bryan Garcia, I thought, had kind of not overstayed his welcome, but I thought had given us pretty much everything we could expect out of him. 3 runs in 4 innings isn't fantastic, but I was fine to live with it. We go to our bullpen. We've had a pretty solid bullpen this year, and hopefully we can just keep Cleveland to about 3 or 4 runs, and maybe the offense would come around and get it. And I didn't expect to win this game at that point either, because how could you, given the offensive performance this season by this team? But then Magically out of nowhere, they just start taking significantly better at bats. Everybody's seeing the ball really well. And again, I talked about in the first game, the 4 through 9 in game 1 had no base runner. Jonathan Scope, 2 for 5. He was your, sixth hitter. Kerry Carpenter, your 3 for 4. Tucker Barnhart, your 8 hitter, 3 for 4. And you put up 7 runs. Now, I'm not saying I expect the 7, 8, 9 hitters to have 3, 2, math off the top of my head, 8 hits alone between 3. They were the 6 through 8 hitters, right? I'm not expecting that. We had 15 hits as a team. What I am saying is that one of the main reasons that this offense has been sutured this season is because they get no offense after the 4 hitter. They haven't really gotten offense from the top of the lineup either, but even when Riley Green is getting on base, even when Javi Baez is riding one of his hot streaks for a couple of weeks, even when Eric Haas is in the top 4 in the lineup and it continues to hit really well, the bottom of the lineup does nothing ever. So that is the main reason for the success in game 2. Now, Victor Reyes obviously had 3 hits. Willie Castro had a pair of hits. Javi had another hit. Riley Green had a hit. Everybody except Harold Castro and Cody Clemens had hits in this one. I don't have an update on the injury. I'm assuming Harold was fine. Fouled the ball off the shin. I'm assuming he's fine because he looked fine after he got it. Don't have an immediate update on that. Cody Clemens, what he didn't do in the batter's box, he certainly did in the field. Playing third base, made 2 phenomenal plays in this one. A diving catch toward the baseline and then had a pop out in foul territory that he climbed over the tarp to get. Really, really impressive game defensively from him. Had a couple of other ground balls his way as well. Didn't get it done at the plate. But when you have 15 hits as a team, at least you can make up for it. You're batting 9. That's fine. We'll take it as long as you're giving us some productive defense, and that's what he did. Tucker Barnhart, 3 hits. I'm not sure it's really explainable, to be completely honest with you. That's just baseball. There wasn't anything I saw today from Tucker Barnhart that made me think, oh, he figured it out. Here we go. Rest of the season, Tucker Barnhart's going to be a good hitter. I would not put money on that, but we'll take it. And hopefully there is something that he figured out and that he can continue doing for the rest of the season. And hopefully he is hitting well the rest of the year. Jonathan Scope, same thing. Didn't really see anything that blew me away as an adjustment he made. Pretty much looked the exact same. And he struck out still 3 times in this game. But the 2 times he did hit the ball, one of them went very far. 9th homer of the year, Jonathan Scope. That's 3rd on the team? Yeah. I think it's 3rd on the team. That's sad. It's August 15th. 3rd most home runs on the team is still in single digits. Anyway, so yeah, and Kerry Carpenter, that's one I do want to talk about because that one actually, he did look way different at the plate. So I want to really hone in on him. We'll get to that and then the pitching performance by Bryan Garcia and the rest of the doubleheader after I tell you all about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts, they have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Segment 3 here. Final segment of Locked On Tigers. Okay, Kerry Carpenter. He looked way different at the plate today. And obviously, you can point to he went 3 for 4 with a homer. No kidding. No, he even if the bloop single was caught and he only went 2 for 4. And even if the home run got caught at the warning track and he went 1 for 4, and even if he went 0 for, he looked visibly different in this game than he has in his entire major league tenure. And maybe it truly just was like having to get that monkey off of his back of like the first major league hit, right? And then once he got that out of the way, he calmed down a little bit, got on base a couple of times on Saturday, but he looked phenomenal. And what Kerry Carpenter all season in the minor league level, he has made his living and had this incredible season at the minor league level due to hitting fastballs well and taking advantage of mistakes. He's still trying to get the timing of the fastball down. The home run was a fastball up and away that honestly was maybe even a ball up and away that he still reached out, extended his arms on, got around on, and pulled for a home run. Very impressive at bat. But he was working counts. He wasn't trying to swing out of his shoes. He wasn't swinging at like really bad pitches. He wasn't chasing pitches on 2 strikes. He worked a couple of counts full. Like he looked so much better, so much calmer, so much more collected, much more just like a pro. Like he looked so solid. And if he's figured it out and it's just like it's game time now and like the timing is down, I'm not nervous anymore. I'm not expecting trying to get my major league hit rather. And it's just like he's zoned in and ready, then we're in for a last month and a half of the season from at least one hitter. Because if you've watched a lick of this dude at the minor league level, obviously, when he gets hot, he gets hot. And it's all going to come down to those 2 things. He's not the best breaking ball hitter on the entire planet. I'm not going to lie to you. He's not some dude that in the minors like dominated curveballs or really like sat on sliders well or hit changeups incredibly well. He hit fastballs like crazy and he took advantage of mistake pitches. You hang a curveball, he's going to hang and bang, right? Those are the 2 things that have made him unbelievable this season. And Eric Haas is very similar. Eric Haas, a majority of his success comes off fastballs. He's not super effective against the breaking balls. And yet, since June, has OPS in the mid-high 800. Like, that is, you can be a very, very effective Major League ball player doing those 2 things. And I'm hoping he's figured it out. It's worth OPS up to 846. it's worth nothing. I'm not trying to be a homer. It's really nice looking at the OPS in the lineup because Harold's is now down to 703. Harold Castro's OPS is now almost below 700, which would mean that we would not have a single qualified hitter with an OPS over 700 on the entire lineup. But after this game, Kerry Carpenter's OPS 846. So I'm not going to forget it. And we're going to keep saying 846. That's a great OPS. Looks really, really good. I cannot stress enough how just night and day. Like I can't imagine anyone watched him and was like, oh yeah, that's the same dude. Like just so blatantly different. So many small things he did differently. So many macro things he did differently. Looked insurmountably better. And I hope he just maintains this and this Kerry Carpenter we get for the remainder of the year. Okay, lastly, let's get to the pitching for game 2. Bryan Garcia started this game. He would go 6 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 5 Ks. That 3 walks is a little deceiving as he plunked 3 different batters. However, 5 Ks and only 3 runs in 6 innings, that's a quality start. Quality start is 6 innings and 3 or less runs. That's a quality start. Bryan Garcia just gave you a quality start. If we didn't win this game, I would be losing my mind on this show right now. I would be livid. And I know some of you are like, "Oh, I kind of wish they did now." But for real, I would be losing it if we wasted a quality start from Bryan Garcia. Seriously, I would have lost my mind. So big ups to Bryan Garcia. Big ups to the offense for not wasting this thing because this, I mean, funny will probably be the only one he maybe in his entire major league career. 8 whiffs in 6 innings. Not fantastic, but a 31% CSW percentage, called strikes plus whiffs. 19 called strikes, 14 of them on the sinker. That pitch was moving. It looked solid. Average exit velocity, 1/10 of a mile an hour below 90. We'll take it. We'll take it. He got hit hard a couple of times and had several baseballs having 100 miles an hour. But 5 Ks, no walks. Punked 3 batters. 5 Ks, no walks, though. It's just, it was, yeah, you know what? I'm not even sure I can come on here and really explain. Like, the sinker was an effective pitch. He was locating it pretty well when he wasn't drilling it into the rib cage of his opponents. The slider and changeup, he threw the slider 20 times, the changeup 19 times, right? That's a good mix. Don't really know what the secondary pitch is coming. Be effective. But at the end of the day, I think it was a baseball moment, and we'll gladly take it. We'll gladly take it. Very, very impressed, very happy for him that he can kind of have that under his belt and nobody ever take that away from him. Had a pretty good start. And, you know, it's not like he threw a no-hitter. Like, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, but it is a quality start. 6 in a Major League Baseball game. So big ups, Bryan Garcia. That's where we're at in this point in the season. That's what we're celebrating. Jose Cisnero, 1/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks. This is, again, something we've talked about we were kind of ahead of the curve on this one. His ERA is 2.16. It's increasing. It's inflating. Ever since he's come back from injury, has been whack, to be honest with you. And nobody really seems to be talking about it because, look at his low ERA. Been kind of tightroping his way out of danger. Gave up a run in this one, got pulled, didn't even let him get a second out. He was the command was really brutal. The sinker was really brutal. The 4-seam fastball command was brutal. He would try to go to the breaking stuff, and it was nowhere near the strike zone, so he just stopped throwing it altogether. Just didn't have it. And it's really, I'll be interested in seeing what happens with him the rest of the season. And then in the offseason, because this is a dude who's probably best reliever from 2020 through 2021. And was usually more than anybody in that stretch, and got hurt. And since coming back from injury, is kind of forgotten about by the fan base. Like, we just are because the bullpen's been so good, we just aren't really remembering that he was a massive piece of this bullpen for the last 2 years. So we'll see what happens with him going forward. Joe Jimenez, 2/3 of an inning, tight ropes his way out of danger, and 2 base runners from Cisnero. Does a pretty good job there. Slaying 1 inning of perfect ball, looked really effective. The command and the first 2 pitches of the outing was really, I thought after that he kind of honed in. Then Gregory Soto, 2 hits and a run, but holds on to the game. They had a 3-run cushion. They won by 2. Wasn't the most effective version of Greg we've seen. However, he didn't walk anybody, so I guess that's something. We've been asking him to just pound the strike zone. The average exit velocity, the max exit velocity, the hardest ball he gave up that inning was 88. It's not like he was getting barreled or crushed. They were kind of just some BABIP stuff. It's going to happen. He held on to the game. That's really all I care about. Okay. I think that's all I got. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen to Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings you humor, passion, and his unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories from around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. I think that's it. Man. I'm trying to think of anything else, but I don't think so. I think that's all I got. Streak is over. Heck yeah. Let's try and win some more, maybe. Maybe let's not make this like a once in a blue moon thing or some big celebratory thing. Like, nobody beats the Tigers 9 times in a row. I'd like to not make those jokes, and I'd like to just make winning somewhat regular, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. We'll gladly take a win, though. We will always gladly take a win. Never going to complain about that. Some fun performances. Kerry Carpenter, man, I'm really pumped for the rest. I'm really pumped. I'm hoping that he can put something together here and make this offense somewhat watchable the remainder of the season. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch you tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.